What's up, Bengals Nation? Big news coming out of Cincinnati. The Bengals have made a move that's got everyone talking. They've traded for a quarterback, but maybe not the one fans were hoping for. That's right. The Bengals are bringing in Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, that Joe Flacco, the same one we saw earlier this season in Week 1, where things didn't exactly go smoothly. Missed throws, missed touchdowns, it wasn't pretty. But still, fans wanted a quarterback move, and the Bengals pulled the trigger. And this one's extra spicy, an AFC North Division trade. Flacco was just benched for Dylan Gabriel last week, so it's clear the Browns were ready to move on. Here are the trade details. Cincinnati gets Joe Flacco, and in return, it's a 5th and 6th round pick swap with Cleveland. Not a blockbuster, but definitely a headline grabber. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. So now the big question, how does this move change the Bengals' season? Does Flacco bring stability or just more uncertainty? Drop your one-word reaction to this trade down in the comments. I'll share mine in just a moment. If I had to sum up this move in one word, it's mid. Let's be real, this isn't the trade most Bengals fans were hoping for. Many wanted a splashier name, someone who could bring real energy to the offense. Instead, Cincinnati gets Joe Flacco, a veteran, sure, but not exactly the spark this team needs right now. Flacco hasn't shown much in recent seasons. His arm strength isn't what it used to be, and his lack of mobility is a major concern behind this Bengals offensive line. If he can't move, he's going to take hits, just like we've seen with Jake Browning. When you look at the numbers, Flacco's turnover rate is almost identical to Browning's. And the fact that he was just benched for a rookie says a lot about where he's at in his career. So yeah, a mid-trade feels about right. Cincinnati gave up a 5th rounder and got a 6th back along with Flacco. It's not terrible, but it's far from inspiring. Still, a move is a move. The Bengals are clearly trying to stabilize the quarterback spot and keep this season afloat. But if I'm grading it, I'm giving this one a C, steady effort, underwhelming result. What about you? Drop your trade grade in the comments, A, B, C, D, or F, and tell me if you think this deal helps the Bengals at all. Let's be honest, Bengals fans, Joe Flacco's best football is way behind him. The last time he looked even close to solid was back in 2016, when he threw for over 4,000 yards. Even then, he finished with 20 touchdowns and 15 interceptions, not exactly elite numbers. Since then, it's been a steady decline. Over the past few seasons, his production has dropped, and the mistakes have piled up. This year has been no different: 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QBR that ranks near the bottom of the league. If you watched him against the Bengals earlier this season, you saw it: open receivers missed, easy scores left on the field. It wasn't bad luck. It was just bad football. Now yes, the price tag is low, around $1.5 million for the rest of the season. But that's exactly the kind of move Cincinnati keeps making: cost-efficient, low-risk, low-reward. And while that might work in the front office spreadsheet, it doesn't always translate to wins on the field. So here's the truth: Flacco brings experience, but not answers. The Bengals needed a spark, and this move feels more like a flicker. Alright, let's get back to the real story, this Bengals trade and what it means moving forward. Cincinnati fans are split right now. Some say bringing in Joe Flacco gives the team a steady veteran who's seen it all. Others see it as a desperate move that doesn't fix the deeper issues: protection, consistency, and chemistry on offense. The Bengals have built their identity on toughness and resilience, and this season has tested that more than ever. Losing momentum after a shaky start, fighting through injuries, and now turning to a 39-year-old quarterback, it's not the script anyone expected. But here's the thing: this team has surprised people before. They've clawed their way out of worse. Whether Flacco can stabilize things or just keep the season alive, that's what we'll find out soon enough. So don't go anywhere. We're breaking down how this trade could impact the rest of the Bengals' schedule, and whether it changes their playoff hopes at all. Now, let's talk about what comes next for the Bengals with Joe Flacco in the mix, because this move raises more questions than answers. Flacco is a veteran. He's seen everything an NFL defense can throw at him. But at this stage of his career, experience only takes you so far, especially behind an offensive line that's been fighting just to stay upright. For now, expect Jake Browning to remain the starter heading into the matchup against Green Bay. It's going to take at least a week or two before Flacco fully learns Zach Taylor's system, the language, the reads, the tempo. The Bengals' offense isn't simple, and throwing him straight into live action could backfire. Still, there's a small window of optimism here. Flacco has always been known for his poise and pre-snap awareness. If he can recognize pressure early, make the right checks, and hit his quick reads, he might help stabilize the offense, even if he's not lighting up the scoreboard. The big concern remains the same: protection. The Bengals' offensive line has struggled all season, and that's a tough environment for a 39-year-old pocket passer. If the blocking doesn't improve, it won't matter who's under center. Mistakes and sacks will keep piling up. So is Flacco an upgrade over Browning? Maybe in experience, maybe in decision-making. But in overall impact? That's still to be seen. What we do know is that the Bengals are trying to steady the ship before it's too late. These next 2 weeks will tell us a lot about whether this team is surviving, or still sinking. When you look at this move in the big picture, it's less about talent and more about leadership. Jake Browning has struggled to find rhythm all season. His numbers line up closely with Joe Flacco's, either has separated themselves statistically. But the difference could come down to experience. Flacco's been through playoff runs, locker room changes, and high-pressure moments that few quarterbacks can relate to. That presence alone might help steady a frustrated Bengals offense. Even if he's not starting right away, his role in the quarterback room could be valuable, guiding Browning, helping him read defenses faster, and managing the game with more control. Still, this feels like a move that came a little late. 2 weeks earlier, Flacco might have had enough time to learn the system and contribute meaningfully down the stretch. Now, the Bengals are racing against the clock, trying to balance development with desperation. So while this trade might not transform the season overnight, it could still spark something intangible: accountability, focus, and a veteran voice in a locker room that badly needs direction. The next few games will show if that's enough to keep Cincinnati's playoff hopes alive. At this point in the season, the Bengals are running out of time and options. Joe Flacco might be available to play soon, but expect Jake Browning to start against Green Bay while the new guy gets up to speed. Cincinnati released Mike White earlier today, and while Brett Rippon remains on the roster, he's more of a depth piece than a serious contender for the starting job. So for now, it's Browning's offense, with Flacco waiting in the wings. The bigger question, though, isn't who takes the next snap. It's whether this move actually changes anything. Can Joe Flacco, at this stage of his career, really shift the Bengals' direction? Can he steady a team that's been fighting uphill since week 1? Honestly, it's hard to see this trade as a season saver. It might bring stability, maybe even a short-term boost, but it doesn't fix the core issues holding Cincinnati back. Still, this team has surprised before. So, Bengals fans, what do you think? Can the Joe Flacco trade turn things around? Drop your honest take below. Type Y for yes or N for no.